The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster Mai, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. Open line through till 1, so your chance to have your say. Whatever's in the news, the housing crisis has been well documented on the Isle of Man in the last couple of years. So how does the government decide where the new houses should be built? Government recently announced it's reviewing the strategic plan, a document that puts in place rules and guidance for planners when it comes to new developments. But with the government looking to grow the population and a focus on infrastructure on the Island plan, is this why it is being reviewed now? Planning has always been a vexed question on the Isle of Man. I'm sure that's never going to go away. But if they are talking about increasing the population, it's a stated aim to increase the population. Obviously, that's with a view to getting economic activity up on the Isle of Man. People have to live somewhere. And is it better that we have a rented sector, or do you think it's worth getting people onto the property ladder, particularly our own young people, getting them onto the property ladder? Any thoughts? Then text, email, call, WhatsApp, whatever you want to do. The floor is yours, and anything else that's on your mind, including a note in from Bill, who just says, how many times over the years have we heard that the Fastcraft has engine or gearbox problems? Well, at the moment, the Fastcraft is down to 3 out of 4 engines, and consequently, it's taking longer and couldn't go into Heysham over the weekend because of the lack of manoeuvrability. I think a lot of the engine problems are the impellers. Obviously, it takes in water and spits it out of the back, and the impellers often get fouled with debris that is thrown up inside the sea. Gearbox problems, not that often, I have to say, but certainly they're down. And they are rebuilding the engine, I think, on the hoof, so the engineers will be working probably around the clock to get that 4th engine back up to speed, and I think they are capable of working when she's on the move. But we'll wait and we'll see what happens. But David's first with us today. Hi, David.
Hi, Danny. I just want to talk about this week they're going to have these seminars at the Villa Marina, and I listened to Phil Gorn talking to the lady from Peel regarding housing and determining some issues, and it flags up to me a little bit of worry here, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself as an individual taxpayer, cum ratepayer here now. So I wonder what these seminars are going to push out when we haven't even got information regarding the housing board, who controls them, who's on it, what's their purpose in life, if you want to say that. And the other issues I'd like to flag up too is we've not long had, 2 years ago, a strategic island plan, which everybody, warts and all, were actually thrown into the mix. Where we spent nearly 2 weeks, I think it was, at the Villa Marina talking to an inspector. I was down there, thoroughly enjoyed it, to tell you the truth. It opened my eyes a little bit more. And when the inspector was given, information from government as well as the major builders and individuals who wanted things done on the island there. But I just wondered, how is government going to address the issue if they want strategic island need? And will that cause a conflict then if they're running the housing board?
It will be interesting to see, and I'd urge everybody to get down to the Isle of Man Government Conference. It is free. It's on Wednesday and Thursday. And I just want, I'll just, if I could get some specialist knowledge from you, and I don't mean to speak on behalf of the commissioners, but somebody who knows Onchan back to front. Yeah. Where can Onchan get bigger? I mean, Castletown has the same problem. Castletown can't grow land, and Onchan, Douglas, Onchan and Braddon have got half the population, but Onchan seems to be hemmed in.
Yes. Well, from years ago, I suppose, looking at it from a practical point of view, the older commissioners, donkeys years ago, had foresight to move the properties in the middle of the village back so the roads were wider, so it was a thoroughfare through. They also had issues with putting out first-time buyers, real genuine first-time buyers, and that's how possibly I was married an Onchan girl and went to up near Bemmerhague, up near Ballacurry there. My first-time buyer's house, don't mind tell you, was 6,750, and it took me a while to pay that off with the government mortgage and assistance, and I thank them for that. But they did lots of things we are tight. There's not so much land left in the curtilage of Onchan. My private view is we wouldn't want a land grab, although there's always Douglas that's trying to get into, my view anyway, to Tremode there. To purchase land. I think sometimes local authorities just look at it as they can get the rates, more money for the rates. They encroach in like what's going to happen at Mackleton over at Ramsey there. They'll want to do that because it'll increase their rate intake. And I don't mind if they actually use it for something that benefits the community again. But my biggest worry, Andy, is that they're having this meeting when I think half the population will probably be at work, I hope so anyway, and won't be able to attend because I think some of the meetings are in the afternoon, and I think it's only one at night, and I can't remember which one it is on that, because it brings in education as well. Because the future, if I could say, is how are we training our next set of apprentices for electrical PV panels, fixing electric cars, all these other things that these apprentices are going to have in. And then the other issue is, which is a massive one, is that no fossil fuel boilers from a certain date stops. I don't know how they're going to enforce it, but let's see. And I encourage, like you say, people to come and have their 2 pence worth in there, either for or against, or say to them, what are you going to do? I put you in there to do something. What have you done for the last maybe 2.25 years?
And you just wonder, as you're saying, David, it's a matter of getting apprentices and getting artisans trained, getting craftsmen and women trained for this, because not everybody wants to go and work for an e-gaming company. Not everybody wants to work in a bank or an insurance company. We've got to train our own apprentices. We've got to train our own tradespeople. We've got to train our own nurses, for that matter, and our own social workers. So, you know, we're having to get people away from the finance sector and give them incentives to do that. And one of them could be, just like we have, used to be houses for reserved occupations, it may be that could be tied to a first-time buyer mortgage.
Yeah, I always worry about preferential houses for certain people because it brings in an element of discrimination. And don't forget, the next parliament that sits there, they're going to talk about squashing work permits.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad idea because, to me, if a professional company can't get a job application through with all the resources they do have for a specialised thing, do we really want to drag in people without checks and where they've been, what the history of them? I want to make sure the Isle of Man, its population, wants to come here to work and be part of the community, not do something different.
Well, that's certainly the hot potato that Mr. Cannon's administration has got to handle. If they're going to attract people and they're going to get people here, let's put it kindly, they have to be the right sort of people that we get here.
Yeah. Andy, can I say one thing? I met a guy I won't mention who he was. So it was a foreign national guy that's come to live in the Isle of Man, bring his family and so forth. Sitting with him, watching football on a Thursday night, loads of seniors trading and kids running around wild at the NSC. And I just sat with him and I said to him, are you lost? Oh, you've got a son here. We had a great chat. And I don't know who the guy, I forgot to write his details down, but I left him my phone number. Do you know what he said to me? I said, what's the worst thing in the Isle of Man happening at the minute? He said, companies and individuals can't open banks without going massively through hoops for months and months on end. So what is Treasury, or the guys in Treasury, doing to help these people to come and live in the Isle of Man if they're genuine?
Well, they can't open bank accounts, you say?
Yeah, and they're going through massive hoops. Well, you know yourself, and I've been involved in a couple of groups, I won't mention them too, is when you change the officials in from there, and I'll mention the bank, the Isle of Man Bank, it's a nightmare filling forms in, and then you have to then goes to another jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And you're waiting, 3 or 4 months? I've seen it happen. It happened to me personally. And I've lived here all my life. I've not lived anywhere else. So when, as far as I know, there's only 2 David Quirks, and one's younger than me, and he's an expert on wind energy, isn't he? Or
yes.
thermals.
All right. Thanks for calling.
All right, lad.
All right, good to hear from
See
you.
ya.
All right,
Bye.
17 minutes after 12 on Manx Radio. It's this Thursday, well, actually Wednesday and Thursday. It is the Isle of Man Government Conference. Now, you are encouraged to register for the event. It's absolutely free to engage with government and guest speakers in conversations surrounding the themes of education and skills, finance and government budgets, and housing and infrastructure. Now, this Wednesday evening from 6 till 8:40 it's on, and then all day Thursday 21st it's at the Villa Marina. The conference is going to bring together stakeholders, guest speakers, and people who are discussing critical issues with you. You're encouraged to share your thoughts, to pitch up there and have a say and find out more about policy initiatives that are being delivered across the government. So it is this Wednesday evening. This evening's event is going to focus. Education and skills is on Wednesday evening. Finance and budgets and housing and infrastructure is on Thursday. And the agenda also comprises of topics including planning, healthcare, economic strategy, and there'll be some question and answer sessions with ministers. And if you want more information, you can go to islandplan.com/conference 23. Full details there, full agenda, link for free registration, islandplan.com/conference 23. Your individuals can attend the full day or join individual sessions. So remember, if you don't go and if you don't find out, then they'll say nobody's interested. So if you do have the time, and I appreciate not everybody has the time, but if you do have the time, they'd love to see you there. And before we go any further, I must put on record magnificent congratulations for Ramsey Town Band, who came 4th in the national final of the Brass Band Championship, which took place in Cheltenham. They had to qualify by getting on one of the 3 places from the Northwest Regional Championship in Blackpool in February, and they travelled to the championship this weekend. So congratulations to Ramsey Town Band, came 4th in the UK national final of the Brass Band Championship. Well done. So this housing crisis and what exactly is happening, if you've got any thoughts on this, where new development should actually go, where do you think the development should go, what should happen, and should they go in the north, the south, the east or the west? Problem down south, of course, in Castletown is not much extra spare land, and in Onchan it's kind of hemmed in there. There is that big development planned for Braddon, we'll see there, and of course there's the one on the Bride Road heading out of Ramsey. Peel seems to get bigger and bigger all the time, and there's developments in Glenvine as well. But where else do you think? I found Dodsey. Hi, Dodsey.
Hello, mate. Yeah, with regards to putting new houses in Onchan, they really want to sort out the roads first before they put any more houses out there, because if you've ever tried driving through Onchan or even getting home anywhere in Onchan, it's just crazy with all the traffic trying to get through and off Royal Avenue, and even up what's it called, Avondale Road.
Didn't they reconfigure the traffic lights?
No. It's a joke up there because, I mean, by Avondale Road, it's an excellent black spot waiting. There's accidents waiting to happen there because there's people trying to get off Avondale Road onto Main Road by Royal Buildings there. And even though the traffic lights have changed, and you've still got cars snaking off from Avondale Road onto Main Road, and they're just going to cause more problems if they're going to put houses in Onchan. there's got to be other places around the island that they can put housing to get all these people on the island for and whatnot.
Well, where? Because Peel, Peel has just grown and grown and grown and grown. So, some people say Peel is at its limit of where it should go. If you can't get much extra in Castletown, they built a big development, the big estate in Port Erin not long back. Where else is there to go?
Well, why do we really need to have another 100,000 people coming over here? Because, the jobs on the Isle of Man, we're not crying out for that many people to get jobs over here, are we?
Well, no. They want an extra 15,000. We're 85 at the moment. They want to get it to 100,000. And this is all about economic growth.
Yeah, true. But, I still think they need to, figure out if they are going to put new houses anywhere around the island. They want to think about the infrastructure and, the amount of cars that are on this island. It's crazy, and just to put more houses and stuff. I don't know. I just don't think the infrastructure, especially in Onchan for a start, is a good place to start for putting houses there at the moment. Not until they can figure out how to route cars and buses and whatnot through there first.
Yeah, is there any way of getting round the traffic lights in Onchan? There's no other way. They couldn't put mini roundabouts or anything, could they?
No, but and I do this quite regularly. Instead of going through the traffic lights off Avondale Road onto Main Road or whatever, I go up Wyborn Drive through Mount View Road and then down past the back of the Village Walk, and then I carry on off Nursery Avenue down onto Whitebridge Road and then up to my house on 2nd Avenue, because the amount of queuing you've got to try and get through Corkle's garage, it's crazy, because people are trying to turn off down by, I think it's Church Road that goes down into, what's that road called? Gravel Road.
Yeah.
And, there's people trying to get down there, and then they're holding up traffic at the the T-junction at the top of Royal Avenue. And by the time you're getting off Royal Avenue, you've got literally seconds to get off there and onto Main Road, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you're right about the cut-through by the church goes to the top of Harbour Road, because that gets very congested.
Yeah, even if you turn that road the other way around, if you came onto Main Road from there, you're going to have people burning their clutches out, because you're going to be sitting on, what's that, a 45-degree incline?
Yeah. Okay, all right, Dodgy. Drive carefully today. Thanks for being with us. 24 minutes past 12. David mentioned Kate Lord-Brennan been talking to Phil Gaughan yesterday on Perspective. So with the government looking to grow the population and focus on infrastructure on the island plan, what's going to happen now? Well, this is what Kate Lord-Brennan had to say.
There is a need for that planning policy to be able to facilitate existing government policy and public need. So it is exactly for that reason. It won't, in and of itself, solve the more immediate housing supply issues. But yes, there is a responsibility to make sure that the strategic plan, whilst it is being updated, is fit for the long term and is best informed in a sort of calculation, if you like, that is acceptable. So it's just really one strand of that, but it won't solve the whole aspect of it.
What needs to change to allow that to happen? Is that the kind of high level sort of thinking that you're looking for in terms of the consultation? From
my perspective, absolutely is. And that very point that you've made there, how do you see the island looking in the future? I think we might talk a bit about the government conference separately, but as part of that early stage of the government conference, we're talking to younger people, and I'm hopeful that we can have some kind of engagement around that, to say, well, how do you see the island, looking in the future? How do you want us to look in the future? Because when you make these plans, they are long term, so you need to think about the long term, and you need to understand, certainly what people would want to see, how they want places to look and feel. So that that's absolutely the sort of way that we need to be thinking about it. And that boils down to lots of other things that there could be other influencing factors over. For example, we know that it's really important and healthy for so many reasons to have the right amount of space for children to play. Now, there can be certain amounts of things that can happen through area plans where you can be hopeful that somebody puts forward some land to say, yeah, we will provide that, or say that that's a potential for play space, local amenity. Now, that doesn't always happen, but actually what you can require at a higher level strategic planning policy level is to say, a certain amount of regard needs to be given to the provision of play space for children, and then that will sit over all of these things, because the idea is, and certainly it's laid out in statute, and I know it's complicated, but the area plans, that's the ones with the maps, when they're devised and developed, they should be brought forward in general conformity with the strategic plan. So yes, it should represent a vision for what people want to see on the island in the future and how it looks.
Peel MHK Kate Lord-Brandon, who is the Cabinet Office Minister, talking about the strategic plan, government's reviewing the strategic plan. You have to have a strategic plan. It's like one of those targets a long way away. You have to aim towards something. But any thoughts on this? Do you think we should be developing outside Douglas or inside, if you like, the Douglas, Onchan, Braddon area? Where do you think any new development should go, or indeed a brand new development? There was talk years and years ago of a brand new village being built. But Betty's on now. Hi, Betty.
Hi, Andy. I just agree with, I think it was David who was talking about work permits earlier, that we should continue having them. I think they're very important to know who is coming to the island. Otherwise, we're probably going to end up like England. At the moment, the Isle of Man is probably one of the safest places in the British Isles as far as crime is concerned. But if we let every Tom, Jack and Harry in, that probably won't be the case. And we haven't got the numbers of police to enforce behaviour amongst people whom we don't know anything about.
Well, I mean, the good thing about it is work acts as a discipline. So if somebody's coming in and they got a job, then, that enforces a discipline. People know who they are. The boss knows who they are. If they don't have a job, you can't just pitch up here and claim benefits. It doesn't work like that. So unless somebody's got a means of support, they're not going to stay.
Right. I can understand that, but I still think we need work permits. I really do. We need to know who's coming in.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Betty.
Thank you. Bye.
It's 12:30. Thank you, Betty. And, Julian's with us. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. I have to say I agree with Betty. It's interesting when you see that currently the Isle of Man is in the top 4 safest places in the world, along with Taiwan, which also has a strict work permit and immigration policy. But if you look at Sweden, they decided to get rid of their restrictions on work permits, and they were within the top 4. They're now currently at number 88, worse than Ecuador and the Sudan. So it does make you wonder if... I think I have to agree with Betty on that one. I think that's definitely something to think about.
But that wasn't why you called.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just thinking, actually, if we're having an extra 15,000 people over here, we're going to need proper base load when they turn off the power station at Pulrose. And there's some good news from the world of geothermal last week. A news article in one of the leading geothermal online magazines, thinkgeoenergy.com, tells of a test 4-kilometre deep geothermal well that's been drilled in Graben-Neudorf in northwestern Germany. And it's come with a pleasant surprise. The German Geological Society had said that, in their opinion, the temperature at 4-kilometre depths of the water would be around 160 Celsius. The reality is a measured temperature around 203 Celsius, which is a 27% underestimation by the Geological Survey. And because of the far greater heat, the geothermal company involved, Deutsche Erdwärme, is having to order higher temperature materials to cope with the intense temperatures. Deutsche Erdwärme is very pleased with this development, saying that far more heat and electricity for baseload will be available to the inhabitants of Graben-Neudorf than first thought. And this makes Graben-Neudorf the hottest in Germany and the best performing of Deutsche Erdwärme's 38 existing geothermal power plants in Germany, interestingly.
I didn't know there were that many in Germany.
That's just one company's worth. And no volcanoes, as far as I know.
But what do you, I mean, this whole subject about geothermal, I mean, no pun intended, but it's a very hot topic. And it just seems that because I've been trying to look at the finances in this and the financial model. And of course, once the thing's up and running, it doesn't cost a fortune. It doesn't make a lot of money for people, whichever company's involved. So where do you think the impetus is going to come for geothermal?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, if we're spending tens of millions of pounds on gas at the moment to heat and for electricity, once you've got the geothermal system installed, every year you're saving that much. I mean, aside from some servicing, which is, tiny compared to that, you don't have that overhead anymore. So as the years go by, the same arguments used for solar panels. You put them up, and you save that much on your oil or gas heater at the moment in savings on your hot water or your electricity. So the same argument should apply, really.
Will you be going to the government conference, Julian?
Yes, I will. I think it'll be very interesting this year. Be interesting to see what's said. I think both days. The education one, I think, is on Wednesday evening, isn't it? And then you've got a fair old mix on Thursday. So I'll be going to that. I think it will be very interesting to have a look at. I noticed on the in the early morning one on the promenade suite on the right hand side. I think from 9:15. I think they're doing the MUA wind energy onshore update or something. So that will be quite interesting as well.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Julian.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
Good to hear from you. Congratulations, by the way, to Hazel Whitehouse, who won the winning weekend. She was the winning weekend winner this past weekend. She's won £200 to spend at B&B Furniture. We've got another winning weekend coming up this Saturday and Sunday when a one-night bed and breakfast stay at the Mannin Hotel in Douglas could be yours. So if you tune in this weekend, remember you got a chance to win on the winning weekend. I work in an industry that's work permit exempt, and as a local, I've been barred work despite having professional qualifications in favour of already employed UK workers, says Texter 350. You need more big offices in Ramsey and Peel and other towns so people don't have to travel to Douglas all the time to work. If you could get a higher paid job near where you live, no more travelling to Douglas, fewer cars on the road, says Barry. Again, that's been talked for many, many years when he was Chief Minister and as a senior politician. Remember, Alan Bell was very keen on getting a government department into Ramsey. At the moment, I think the only one we have outside Douglas is DEFA at St John's, in that lovely building at St John's. Dick says, Andy, if there's meant to be no land available in Onchan, what's happened to the acres and acres of land set aside in government's Eastern Development Plan between Little Mill and Hilbury in Onchan? Room for hundreds, if not thousands of homes there. Unless Garth and Douglas have done a land grab, it was still there the last time I looked. I guess the plan didn't reach all of Onchan commissioners. That's the land between Little Mill and Hilbury. Unfortunately, the reality, says Texter 557, is that young people leave the Isle of Man, go to university, and their outlook is changed. Their eyes are open to new freedoms, and they don't want to return to a small island or be saddled with a mortgage, says John. Presumably they get a mortgage at some point, but no, it's a good point. Unfortunately, again, it's a waste of time talking to government, says Marie. My husband spoke to every MHK over the last last 10 years about an island concern. It was not on the government's agenda, and he was ignored in recent years. He's been proved right in this particular department. Unfortunately, probably too late to rectify it for the benefit of the Isle of Man. They're constantly having consultations, says Marie, but they ignore the public's response. Dear Government, can you have a question box at the conference? Just put the subject name, if you want, and a quick question instead of going to who has a question and you will then have been given them a note on paper. My question is, are there any drop-in clinics weekly for any student who's left school and needs some more support? People who didn't get the grades, so didn't get a job and didn't want another year of education. More help for people who left but without the qualifications they wanted. Text to 382, thanks for that. Why are there no facts or figures relating to COVID anymore, says Jeff. I've just returned to the Isle of Man after 2 weeks away and tested positive with a heavy dose of COVID. Yes, I registered a positive result, but there's no information on what figures there are on the Isle of Man, says Jeff. And yes, they did reconfigure the traffic lights on Onchan, and the traffic flow has been worse through Royal Avenue and Avondale Road since then, says Richard on 488.
Hi, James from Tracy Bell here. Are you self-conscious about your smile? From gentle whitening to making you look as though you've swallowed a torch, we provide all types of tooth whitening to suit every need, with free consultations so we can give you all the options and let you decide what's best for you. Call 613323 and illuminate your smile at the Tracy Bell Clinic. Tracy Bell, helping you to be better.
He'll help keep your garden looking fine. He makes it easy and he saves you time. He'll save you cash. He's Johnny Trash.
Tired of endless trips to the skips? Fortnightly curb collections from Johnny Trash. The eco-friendly way to deal with garden waste. All for the equivalent of just $3.25 a week. Sign up on their Facebook page or call 477 767.
He'll save you cash. He's Johnny Trash.
Are you concerned about your eye health? Holmes & Davidson Opticians in Douglas are proud to offer the Eidon Ultra-Wide Field Retinal Imaging and Heidelberg 4D OCT systems, state-of-the-art machines that allow early detection and management of eye diseases. Don't wait. Book your appointment today and ensure the health of your eyes with the best technology available. Call 676 230 or visit holmesanddavidsonopticians.co.uk now.
Tanya August Hansen MLC is at it again, spearheading new legislation and helping the Manx public lead easier lives. She's consulting on a private member's bill which would allow some bits of legislation to catch up with societal changes surrounding same-sex families. She's also helping the planning department steer an amendment bill through which will help simplify the planning process. And she's looking for views on charity registration and regulations. Loads to fit in on agenda this evening at 6 p.m. on Manx Radio with me, Phil Gaughan. In the absence of Keys members driving legislative change, do you welcome Legco picking up the law-making cudgel?
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster by, good afternoon, thanks for dropping by. And talking of legislation, the vaping products bill will be put before Keys later on. At the moment it's with Legco. The first and second readings passed in Keys on the 13th of June. The clauses stage and the third reading on the 27th of June. It's now with Legco. This is the talk about the vaping bills. This is going to bring in age restrictions on the sale and importation of vaping products, as well as restrictions for point-of-sale displays to reduce the visibility of vaping products for children. The bill was consulted on earlier this year, and it will bring the Isle of Man in line with the UK for age controls on the sale of vaping products. The island will move ahead of the UK with controls restricting advertising and display of vaping products in retailers in a similar way to tobacco, where premises are accessible to those under 18. It will allow the Isle of Man to set its own controls on the standards vaping products must meet to be eligible for sale, and lots of people are very very excited about this in many ways, about the vaping issue. And certainly as schools have gone back, it's come into sharp focus. I don't know about you. I was walking on, I won't say which beach, but a beach on the Isle of Man at the weekend. And just generally walking on the beach, I found 3 vaping products. 3 vapes just been thrown away. And I know it takes a long time for cigarette ends to decompose, but a vape will take thousands of years. So you just wonder about people and what they're doing with vapes. Do you remember I sent you the information, says Fiona, about the unfair tax? It doesn't seem to be getting a logical response from DOI. I've found that I can go to London in the ULEZ, the ultra-low emission zone, as my vehicle is classed as ultra-low emissions without paying any charges, which doesn't make sense because I'm charged the maximum amount on the Isle of Man. I pay £724 per year, but yet it's an ULEZ compliant vehicle. The DOI responded with, I can pay for 6 months road tax rather than the annual, but that's not the point. And the information checker at the ULEZ compliance is not based on CO2 emissions, but other factors on vehicles. Either the vehicle is clean or it's not. Does anybody have any suggestions as to where I can go from here? I'm not the only one affected by this. Thank you, says Fiona. So that's an ultra-low emission vehicle getting charged £724 per year for road tax. Is that CO2 emissions? Exactly what is it? Why are people paying more for road tax? It seems to be an anomaly. I know we can make our own legislation up, but we'll see. And also a note in from Betty just said we should have a petition on work permits. We need to keep work permits. Well, certainly this next session of Tynwald, which starts in a fortnight or so's time, is certainly looking at suspending the work permit legislation in certain cases. Mick's on now. Hi, Mick.
Hello. Yes. I was curious about something. With all the going on of going green and the reduction of oil use, the reduction in the use of oil for energy and everything that we rely on it currently for, what is going to happen to the various countries of the UAE? If we stop buying billions of barrels of oil, are they going to? Is their economy going to collapse, or what? I mean, what does Saudi Arabia or Jordan or any of those countries in the Middle East think about all the green agenda? I've never heard any comments from that general area.
Well, I think they know full well that this is going to take decades in the and a lot of them have got gas rather than oil. But we take your point where that's concerned. The International Energy Authority said that by the end of it will be peak demand by 2030. So from 2030 it'll start going down.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And then that's kind of like what you would expect, I suppose. But that's still, what are they going to rely on as far as their GDP if they can't sell any gas, even because gas won't be allowed, will it? I mean, naturally. Going green.
No, they've never come out and said anything. I think at the moment they're just sitting back and watching what happens. But, I mean, apart from that, a lot of the Gulf countries have got so much invested in infrastructure. They've bought up vast tracts of land here, there and everywhere. So they won't be short of a bob or two in the future.
No, I dare say they'll hold on to, whatever they've got currently. I mean, they are filthy rich. So, I don't know. It was just something I thought about while I was reading the Daily Mail.
Interesting. Thanks for that, Mick. Good to hear from you. You just wonder what will happen to the various economies in the Gulf and around the world, the people who rely on oil. Well, America is a massive oil producer. Britain is still a big oil producer. Norway still produces a lot of oil. And so what's going to happen in the future? We don't have any Gulf correspondents, but it'd be nice to hear if anybody, if you live in the Gulf, and we have many people who listen to expat Manxes who work in the Gulf, is there a green agenda in the Gulf? This coming Thursday, lots to talk about with the students of King William's College. Because we do high school broadcasts throughout the year, and this coming Thursday with the students of King William's College, just to see what their worldview is, their view of the Isle of Man, and thoughts for the future. It's always interesting just to see what 16, 17 and 18-year-olds are thinking of the world. They don't get normally the chance to listen to Mannin Line because they're too busy working hard at school, so we get them out and put a microphone in front of them for an hour. And if you haven't heard before, there's always something always turns up. So this Thursday, live with the students of King William's College between noon and 1. I just want to give credit, says John, credit where credit's due, both to the ground staff at the airport and the cabin crews of our EasyJet flights. We had to travel to Liverpool recently to attend a hospital for surgery, and the level of assistance we received from both the ground staff and cabin crews was absolutely exemplary. We often moan about the airport and the airlines, but never hear any positive feedback, so I just want to put it out there and say a big thank you to the cabin crew and also to the ground staff at the airport. John, more than happy to do that. Eddie's with us now. Hi, Eddie.
Hi, mate. This is about the work permits.
Yeah.
I'm retired now, so it doesn't affect me really. But if I wanted to work in Europe, I would have to have a work permit because I'm a Manxman. And all I ask is that other people who come to my island have the same as I have to go to theirs.
So why do you think the government are thinking of it's a temporary relaxation? They stress it's temporary. Why do you think they want to do this?
Because they need people in. And they don't want to have to go through the trouble of checking people. It takes a long time and costs a lot of money. And they haven't got the money to spend, have they, at the moment, the way they've wasted so much.
But, I mean, surely they would have seen this coming, Eddie. Surely they knew this was going to arrive.
Well, who ever thought they wanted another 15,000 people here? This is just one man's idea. I mean, when you work it out, let's be truthful. They've got no money in their pension fund. It's coming out of the taxpayers every year. And I think something like last year was 37 million to cover for their pensions. They keep pinching money out of our pension fund, the ordinary people's fund, and don't put it back. I mean, he took £100 million out to help over COVID, and he said he's not going to pay it back. So this is happening all the time, and they're just running out of money.
So how do we square this circle? I mean, you'll remember years and years ago we had a problem with young Manx people leaving the Isle of Man and never coming back. So how do we maintain the population then?
Well, we always survived before. I mean, what you call it? There was 44 boys in my class, and I think 7 stayed on the island. The rest of us either went into the Merchant Navy, or the Air Force, the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, whatever, the Army. And that was it. I mean, Manx was knocked out of us, basically. I can always remember I wrote a poem, and I went and put in that the fisherman was wearing a Gansey, and it was crossed out. And I was told I wasn't allowed to call it a Gansey. It had to be a jumper, because people in England wouldn't know what I was talking about.
Well.
And this is how it was in them days. This is in the 40s, in the early 50s. And but we all came back, eventually.
That's interesting. So most people came back?
Yeah, nearly all my mates came back. We were all merchant seamen. A bunch of us, we always came home for leave, spent our money here, and then went back away to earn more. And when I got married, I made sure my family and I came to the island to live. It was just as simple as that.
All right.
It's like a magnet that drags you back, mate.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Good to hear from you.
All
Thanks
the
for
best,
that.
buddy.
All right, and that's going to be our mission for today then, is to bring back the Manx Gansey.
This is my happy place. Don't we all have a favourite place? A place we come to relax, plan, dream and invest. With HSBC's online investment platform, you can invest in hundreds of funds anywhere and get 50% off upfront investment fees. Invest in what makes you happy from just £50 per month. Terms and conditions apply. Visit us online today. HSBC, opening up a world of opportunity. Investment involves risk. The amount initially invested may not be received back. HSBC Bank PLC Isle of Man branch is regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority. Offer ends 30th of November 2023.
The Ramsey Garden Centre sale is now on, featuring a huge range of garden items at vastly reduced prices. Don't delay. Grab a garden bargain now. There has never been a better time to visit Ramsey Garden Centre. Open 7 days a week on Albert Road, Ramsey.
Everyone's more conscious of energy usage nowadays. So Manx Utilities has begun installing smart meters for standard domestic customers island-wide. With our Smart Living app available too, you'll be in control of tracking and managing your energy. No need to contact us. We'll be in touch when we're ready to fit your smart meter. Visit the Smarter Living page at manxutilities.in. Manx Utilities, delivering a smarter future.
On Saturday, the 14th of October, join the Love Train when station legends bring you Love Train Greatest Romantic Hits. At just £49 per person, you and your loved ones can enjoy train travel, a fabulous 3-course meal and classic romantic hits. From Crazy Little Thing Called Love to You Look Wonderful Tonight. Find out more at rail.im or book now on 697 457. Station Legends Greatest Romantic Hits in association with your nation station, Manx Radio.
This Tuesday here on Manx Radio, join Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark, for Countryside.
We'll be taking a look back at the Food and Drink Festival from the weekend.
We talk to chefs, some people who are displaying seafood, the Minister for Defa, Claire Barber, and also I sampled some chili ice cream.
That's all in Countryside Tuesday here on Manx Radio at 6 o'clock. And don't forget, you can download and subscribe to the podcast for free at manxradio.com.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
7 minutes to 1. That website, by the way, for information about the government conference is islandplan.com. Islandplan, all one word, all lowercase. Islandplan.com/conference 23 for this Wednesday and Thursday. Are you going, Juan?
Well, I think the amount of times I've mentioned it on here would suggest that I am, Andy. I'm glad actually that they took us up on last year, because I think I actually phoned in from the car park last year during the break time, and I also mentioned it at the outbreak session with the Chief Minister of who they were trying to identify at the conference last year, because it was in working hours. So I do hope, because they have taken that on board this year and made it a Wednesday night. So I do hope that people do go, like I've said on here a few times, because it's all right sitting grumbling and complaining, but put Coronation Street on programme repeat and go down and have your word with everyone. Grab their particulars, find out who they work for, what department, and ask your questions. Go down and ask the question.
And I think that may be from it may be on some people's view is that, you know, politics is what other people do, and the government is run by other people. But everybody knows everybody on the Isle of Man. You know, this is ours. This is our government.
Absolutely. And the way things are going, like I said before, my views on, following agendas which have no place here. And this is the time to go and ask the questions. I mean, I went last year and asked the questions. Just go down. It's your island. I think we're paying £40,000 of taxpayers' money for this conference, I believe, aren't we, Andy?
Something like that.
Something like that.
I hope there'll be decent tea and biscuits anyway for that.
Well, Yes, we expect ginger nuts and custard creams for that, don't we? And talking about food, that was a good food and drink festival this weekend. Did you go to it?
I didn't have chance, but I know a couple of people who went, and they seem to enjoy it.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I definitely recommend the Andrea's Meat Company sausages, but that wasn't the only thing I'd seen getting grilled there at the weekend, because when I passed Julian, he was grilling the Friends of the Earth stall that was there, and they were still grilling them 45 minutes later, so I think they were well baked after he finished with them. But I'm noticing a lot of the signalling going on in there of government, with the wind turbines and the all the other stuff that's going on, little reminders everywhere around the place. But in general, it was a good weekend. Douglas was busy, the car show was great, and the food festival was good, but I just wanted to mention the figures last week, and I think it was actually mentioned by, dare we say the name, Katie Hopkins, and she reported she'd done a little reel that was on her thread on Facebook, actually walking along the promenade and walking along the quayside in the Isle of Man, actually, and she was reporting the figure as well of 7% increase in cash sales in the UK, which is quite promising. That's quite good. That's the highest ever for many, many years.
All right. Thanks for that, good to hear from you, Jude.
Cheers, Andy. Toronto.
All right. Why are we not building on all the brownfield sites in Douglas, says Hillary. The government were after the 10-minute community, and there's Park Road. So why don't they go to Park Road? The old Park Road school site is empty now after 10 years. And, of course, the pub is closed next to it. The bowling green's closed now. We got the Victoria Road prison site. There are empty sites on the quay that are all eyesores. We should build proper houses, not cardboard boxes. Well, there's some nice ones being built, I think, at the moment, Hillary, but those brownfield sites never, ever, ever seem to go away, do they? Work permits aren't a screening tool to determine past behaviour. That's a function of this disclosure and barring service, which any employer should be using. We need work permits and we need ID requested on the boats. Thanks also to the texter who said, Andy, we must demand that the government looks into geothermal technology once and for all, good or ill. Surely we can get to the bottom of it. Thank you, Pammy on 505. My daughter's just over from France. She walks 8 or 9 kilometres a day. She says the Isle of Man is beautiful, but you risk your life due to the lack of sidewalks. That's Frank. Thank you.
WINT.